And I think there's a lot of stuff that just needs to get done and doesn't have to be perfect. But you're right. And that's a typical way women hold themselves back because they wait till their idea is perfect. And by that time, somebody else has already beat them to the punch.
This is Conversations with Women in Sales, an award-winning podcast launched by Barbara Giamanco and now hosted by Lori Richardson. Listen to interviews with amazing women about their journeys in their sales careers, often discussing sales leadership tips, ideas, and strategies. We aim to inspire women to consider or continue a sales career, and for some women to grow into sales leadership. Men, we need your support and appreciate your allyship. Now here's our host, Lori Richardson.
I am so excited today because I'm here with Jane Sojka, and Jane just wrote this incredible book that should be out by the time our recording is out. It's called Women in Power, your guidebook to risk, resilience, and confidence. Jane, so great to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show. Again, Lori, it is good to see you as well.
Yes, and we were talking before we started recording, and I have to say this because I wrote a book called She Sells, and it was really to get companies to hire more women into sales and sales leadership and to promote them and retain them and to learn ways to do that. But the follow-up book that I wanted to do was about for women themselves and the men that read this as well, because it's a great book for anyone in sales to rise if you want to rise up and you want to work on different things. And this is that book. So congratulations. And what I love about it is that I love the paper. It's a really nice texture. For those of you that just read online, please buy the book because it's so nice. You can put it in your purse or, your briefcase or whatever you have. I don't know if anybody has a briefcase anymore, but you can put it in your bag and a backpack, and it's able, you have space to write in it, right, Jane? Tell me why you did it this way.
Well, I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, I wanted it to be fun. I wanted people to pick it up and look forward to reading it instead of, it's another academic book. And, I'm with you with touching, and I've got it right in the margin. And so many of the parts of the book are activities. Okay, well, how do you learn to sell? How do you learn to be stronger? How do you learn to be resilient? Well, you practice. Well, okay, you need to
Yeah.
make notes in the margin, and here's how you practice.
Yeah, page 109, it's about power writing. Trim the hedges when you write, which I love talking about as well. We tend to say too much. We can say
Yes.
less. Less is more. And your practice is take out the filler words in the previous two sentences. What is the fewest number of words that you can use to make your request? And it has a place to write that. And I just love that so much. So congratulations. I have academics in my family. This isn't the book I expected from you, but I love it so much. So,
Thank you. That's a compliment because that's really what I wanted. It's approachable for everyone. I had a number of people come into my class, to speak to my class, and they're like, "Oh, I want to take your class." It's like, "No, I don't have time to teach everybody."
yeah,
Here's
this
here's
is
the
the
book.
book. And so, speaking of your class, you have taught at University of Cincinnati, and you taught a course for women it was called Women in Sales for 10 years.
Yeah.
And
Um,
you've had thousands of women and men have been
yes.
in your classes. You have courses now, you're continuing to teach. But this book has 4 parts. It has self-limiting behaviors. It talks about 8 resilience strategies to practice and use. The third part highlights the small adjustments in body language and what you write and what you say. And then part 4 is how we support other women, which I love so much. It's so important. And I really appreciate that you included it. I would say it's my favorite part of the book. But let's talk a little bit about you talked about self-limiting beliefs, right?
Yeah.
And 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 the antidote to fear of failure is resilience. All right.
Yeah.
Tell,
Um,
tell us about that a little bit.
I I I call myself the queen of fear, okay? And the queen of failure. And I loved your comment as we were talking before. Is your comment? Well, you use a lot of examples. Well, I've made a lot of mistakes. I mean, my life is a gold mine of
Yeah.
failure and mistakes. And number one, I very much believe in the Brene Brown school of thought, which is vulnerability. And it is scary. And I remember the first time I stood up in front of my students and I thought, can I tell them I really failed? It didn't, I really failed. What are they going to think about me? Are they still going to respect me? Are they going to, and what I found was they respected me more. And I really learned how much acknowledging failure means to other people, because then you realize, oh, I'm not alone. Oh my goodness, I'm not the only one who has done that. Oh yeah, I've done it, and I've probably done it even worse. And so I really started studying failure, not experimenting, but just studying it. And
Yeah.
how do we process it? And it's not the failure that worries me. We all know, oh yeah, you learn from failure. Yeah, 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 we do. And I do. But the fear is paralyzing. And there
Yeah.
is research that suggests, it was done actually after 9/11, and it was to mobilize American troops. What would inspire Americans to sign up for the military? Would it be fear? Okay, we are under attack. We need you to defend us. Or patriotism, go USA. Under fear,
Yeah.
people fear, they close down, they hide away, they go in caves. And so fear is debilitating.
Yeah.
And if you're afraid to ask for the clothes, to try out for the play, to join a group, to ask a stranger to coffee,
Yeah.
you're paralyzed. So I really wanted to help students and then people get over their fear of failure.
Yeah, and you start with perfectionism, which a lot of us can relate to, people pleasing, self-limiting behavior, control, isolation, busyness, and fear of failure. So
Yeah.
that covers a gamut. I mean, I'm happy to have never been a perfectionist. I don't know why. Somehow I bypass that gene, but I see what it done to people to never get something finished because it's never good enough, and at some point, you have to say, "Hey, it's good, and let's go." And people found my typos and, different issues that I have done. However, I would have been paralyzed to build a business if I had been, a perfectionist.
And you're very lucky. So I wish I missed that one. One of my favorite quotations from Liz Gilbert, who is a, wise woman. There was one quotation which is good enough is better than perfect. And Liz Gilbert takes it a step further and says, done is better than good enough.
Mm.
And I think there's a lot of stuff that just needs to get done and doesn't have to be perfect. But you're right. And that's a typical way women hold themselves back, because they wait till their idea is perfect. And by that time, somebody else has already beat them to the punch. You
Yeah.
have to get out there.
And you have a reframe where people can read and then write their own reframe, which is really great. I was looking for quotes because you have quotes scattered all throughout the book, and I love that as well. I just love this book. I'm gushing over it. I know,
Thank you.
but it is really wonderful. So let's talk. So resilience strategies, you have 8 resilience strategies to practice and use. And this is an antidote to fear of failure. Failure, one of them that you have listed is that failure is an event, not a person. So that's a really good one, right? It's not me that failed, it's this scenario.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I kind of like, there's 8 of them. It's like a laundry list. And I tell my students when I teach this material, it's like going shopping, because what looks good on me is not going to look good on you. What looks good on the rack, no, it does not really. Well, I don't know about that color. Wow, I really like it. You have to try them on. And it's always fun to me. I have my favorite strategies, and students have their favorite strategies. And so the idea is that one of them or a couple of them, I have a couple of go-tos that I use more than others. But I think especially the failure is an event, not a person. I used to always beat myself up, which is what do we do? I'm going to use an example. We're interviewing a potential new faculty member. We're up at the dean's lounge. Everybody has a cupcake. I drop my cupcake on the floor, icing down in front of everybody. Okay. Now, do I look like a social misfit or what? Nobody else remembers it, but I do. I'm sitting there, right? And then you start going down the thing. Jane, everyone thinks you're an idiot. You can't even hold a cupcake. What kind of an impression are you making? And here's the dean, and da 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 da. Dean could care less. Okay, she's a really good person, but I have to stop myself and say, failure is an event, not a person. You're still smart. You're still a good colleague. You still know how to teach sales. You just didn't hold on to the cupcake like you wanted. And it gave everybody something to laugh at, and laughing is good. Move on. But years ago, I would have just beaten myself up for that. And when I have students talk about their use of the resilient strategies, I mean, that's what we tend to do. And we just rehearse it over and over again.
Yeah. And I was a young single parent and I had to be successful. I couldn't afford to, I could goof up, but I had to pick up myself up. So I feel like that almost fueled me to get past some. I didn't dwell in failure very long because I couldn't.
Yeah, you couldn't, and that's why you're a leader. I mean, you're an incredible leader for a woman to make the strides in sales that you did during the time period that you were selling
Yeah.
is remarkable. And
Yes.
so that I think that accounts for at least part of your success. I'm in awe of your career.
Thank you. It's mutual. So, well, okay. So part 3, talk about small adjustments, body language, what we say, what we write.
Yeah.
And one of the things that it's classic, and if you're listening, I want people to think about this as well. Women typically say, I'm sorry, way too much. Now, in your home, personal life, that's your business. But in the workplace, I just want to say that you don't need to do that. And it actually, it doesn't support your goals.
Yeah.
If you constantly, I just know this because, and you've worked with thousands of women. I've worked with thousands of women as well. And universally, this is like one of the most common things that women are like, oh, I know, I do that all the time. And what I did years ago was I fined myself. I used to find myself, I had a jar and I would put money in whenever I caught myself saying, I'm sorry, when it really wasn't appropriate. If I hurt someone, or even if I'm late to a call, if I was late today, rather than saying, oh, Jane, I'm so sorry, I would say, Jane, my Zoom had to update. I sure didn't expect to be late. Thank you for your patience. I don't need to say I'm sorry for that. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's fun. I don't collect money, but sometimes I will give an assignment of students, and I will say I have seen men struggle with this too. Not as much. Once again, it all depends. It really depends on the individual, but to require go a day without saying sorry. And it is torture for some people. But I totally agree with you. And what I teach, because I don't like to say, okay, don't do this without saying, okay, so then what should you do? Okay, because I think that's the important thing. I love the thank you. Okay, because everyone likes to be thanked. You know what? It's a win-win. When thank you, Lori, for having me on the show, you feel good about it. And I'm not losing my power by apologizing for something I cannot control, the Zoom. Okay, heaven knows I cannot control technology. And so by replacing the word sorry with thank you, it is a win-win. And so even on emails, once again, I rarely say I'm sorry on an email. The exception is if somebody dies, and then I am sorry, and I really am
Sorry for your
sorry. And so,
loss.
it's sincere, but instead of, oh, I'm so sorry I made this mistake, which is what I used to say. And also notice you've got the magnifier in there. I'm so sorry. Like, sorry is not good enough. I have to be so sorry I made this mistake.
Really sorry.
Really, yeah. I mean, really sorry. So sorry. I'm a so girl. Okay, I have to go through it. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Good catch. They feel good. the mistake is corrected
Yeah.
and we all go on. And I think that is really important. And once you start incorporating, that's a little teeny tiny thing, but you're not giving away your power. And it's a win for everyone.
Yeah, and that's in your confidently communicate competence. I love that. That's part 3. And don't give your power away is the premise that you talk about. Power writing, the fact that we don't need to give a whole background about, well, let me tell you what happened before I tell you what, just cut to the chase because executives want the short version. They want the power, use some power words. And, correct?
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
that's exactly it. I've used examples in my class of emails I get, some from students and some from honestly other administrators. And it's I was just wondering if you would be willing to help us promote the possibility. And you know, when I read it out loud and I ask, why are we doing that? Well, we're groveling. And the point is, to your point, the reader, okay, and sales is all about the other person. And honestly, life should be all about the other person too.
Yeah.
How can I help you? Okay. The reader, I want to know, what do you want?
Yeah.
Okay. And I want to get to that as
Bottom line.
quickly as possible. Okay. The second thing, they're probably reading it on their phone, or there's a good likelihood they're on their phone. So a perfectly good sentence on a laptop is a paragraph on a phone. Well, I'm going to delete it and get to the point, and I'm going to say yes or no, depending upon the request, not groveling. So get to the point. And I can, it makes it easier for me to say, oh, yeah, sure, I can do that.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to figure out what do you want.
And we call these soft skills. I mean, for years, I was told, "Well, we don't want to teach soft skills. They're not powerful." These are very powerful now. And in this day and age of AI, this is what differentiates you as a human being and a successful seller. If you're a poor salesperson, there are some fundamentals that AI can do better than you right now. Bottom line. However, if you can master conversations and you can master writing and convey thoughts and look for, use your intuition and use reading, what they call reading the room, right?
Yep.
Being able to see the bigger picture, look for patterns, things like that. These are the important things to know now. And that's another reason why it's such a good time for this book.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and I do appreciate. I love. I wish we should sell the books together as as a partnership, because I appreciate, and I have gotten criticism like, well, yeah, this is great, but here's the institution I'm dealing with, or here's the organization, and I got tired of beating my head against the wall. So kudos to you for taking
Yeah.
on the organization. But these are things we can control. I control what I think.
Yeah.
And I can control what I say, and I can control how I act. Now, I can't control what people think about me, but I can control how I present myself.
Yeah.
So this book is very much on, okay, I can't control the rest of the world, but this is what I can control.
Yeah. And the last chapter, which I think is so powerful, is about supporting other women. And you talk about finding your fangirls, which I love, and just generally supporting other women. It doesn't hurt anyone. I know that when I speak one year at a conference, they're not going to hire me back next year, but I can recommend another woman that I know that could be very good. And I've seen people do that. I saw a woman do this so gracefully. She was on a board that was a very special invite to be a part of it. And when she left, she said, I can't be on it anymore, but I would like this woman to take my place. I would like to nominate her to take my place. Well, that's not how they did it, but they did because my friends suggested it, and they were like, well, okay, sure. And then she became part of the team, and it helped her career immensely. So those are simple things that people can do.
And that one is an added benefit, because another thing I'm really a stickler on, refusal skills. Okay. I don't like being told no, and I don't like telling other people no. And we are not given good refusal skills. And I think one of the things that not only did she get another woman on the board, but when I have to say no, I can no longer do this for whatever reason. If I can recommend people, and that's what I always do, it makes me feel less guilty about saying, no, like I can't do it, but here's somebody who can, and they'll take good care of you.
Yeah.
So I think once again, it is a win-win. I am always looking for win-win situations.
Yes, yes, and some of us have learned that the hard way too, because I know I have. So I just want to encourage people to check out this book. It's called Women in Power, Your Guidebook to Risk, Resilience, and Confidence. I think those are the most important things that we can have as sales professionals and sales leaders. Any final thoughts that you'd like to share, Jane?
Lori, it's always a delight to talk with you. We've been connected for a long time,
Yeah.
and this book has been a long time in the making.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that it is finally in print.
Yes. And so in addition to the book, I meant to mention that you have a TEDx talk called Empowering Women Benefits Everyone. It's wonderful. You did it quite some time ago. I don't know how many years, but it's fabulous as well. Jane, it's a pleasure. I'm going to encourage everybody I know to buy your book. And thank you so much for being on. And I look forward to talking with you again.
Thanks, Lori. It's great to see you again.
I'm your announcer, Larry Long Jr., and we sincerely thank you for listening to this episode of Conversations with Women in Sales, encouraging you to share an episode with all of your friends and your favorite male allies. Let's work together to change the face of sales. Until next time, you can find all of our episodes at womensalespros.com/podcast.